Hello everyone, this is Boricua Binks and welcome back to Let's Play the Great Ace Attorney Chronicles. We are continuing in the 5th case of the game, The Adventure of the Unspeakable Story.
You intrigue me, my learned friend, but let's see some evidence to support your claim. Where is the proof that demonstrates this inconsistency in the witness's portrayal of the victim's final moments?
Because they're showing him getting shot in the front, and we know that he got shot in the back. Where is his autopsy? Oh, here it is. See, okay. Upper half of victim's back. Yep. Let's present.
Take that!
According to their testimony, the witnesses claim to have heard a shout of "Give me that gun," followed by the gunshot.
Indeed, with the two events happening almost simultaneously, or so we've been led to believe.
Yes, that's right. Now, if that testimony is true, it would mean that at the moment of death, the victim and his attacker would have been facing each other, yep. However, in the autopsy report it clearly states that the victim died instantly after being shot from behind.
Oh,
So, as I stated before, there is an undeniable inconsistency in your testimony, Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
yeah,
They're so ridiculous.
But it's the God's honest truth. It is, Nash, it is. When he was shot that night, the shopkeeper had a gun in his hand. We saw it with our own bleeding eyes.
Did I hear you right just now? You actually saw Mr. Windibank holding a gun?
Yep. Y'all need to stop lying. This is ridiculous.
Something like that might have slipped out.
Van Zeeks, get him.
Ladies and gentlemen, you have all just heard the admission by these two witnesses that on the night in question they actually saw with their own eyes the victim wielding a gun, which can only mean that despite their testimony to the contrary, the Skulkin brothers must have encountered the victim in person.
Nash. Yeah.
Oh, you fools.
Order, order, order!
Witnesses, explain yourselves at once. Well, the thing is, we weren't supposed to, It would seem that my previous warning fell on deaf ears. I made it quite clear that false witness would be the death of you.
Am I to understand that you replaced the untruths of your original testimony with renewed lies?
The Skulkins are like, hey, didn't you just hear him? He just threatened us.
It's like, oh no, I didn't hear a thing. No, I am deaf and blind when it comes to Prosecutor Van Zeeks. He can destroy chalices, he can threaten witnesses as much as he wants. I don't give a damn.
I'm so sorry, Governor. Truth is, see, we, Cut it out, Nash, cut it out. If we bluff now, you know what he'll do to us.
He?
Who are they talking about?
Oh, so they're working with Benedict then? The Edgar Benedict dude? That's all I could think of.
Let me make your position here perfectly clear. You will talk, There is no other option available to you. Bruv, come on, the game's up.
But he'll have our guts for garters. In case it hasn't quite sunk in yet. No matter how hard you tried to hide it, the truth will come out.
On
the night in question, it is now apparent that you brothers met face to face with the victim. I demand that you testify again to explain the precise circumstances under which this meeting took place.
When are we going to be done with these brothers?
well... Do we have to? On pain of death. I suggest you make yourselves fully aware that this is your very last chance to tell the truth.
Hopefully this is their last testimony, because I'm sick of them. Like, they're funny, but they also annoy me. So I'm just like, okay, let's get them out of here. Encounter with the victim.
Alright, so we just got inside the garth and heaved a sigh of relief when the geezer showed his mug. Give me that gun, he bellowed. And then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it. Fine old geezer. The bloke was strong as an ox. He chucked me over the counter.
So that's when you knocked over everything.
I pulled me gun on him, and then he legged it through that door into the back room. We never had nothing to do with killing him. That's all what happened, I swear. So you're now telling us that moments before the victim was killed in the storeroom, you in fact encountered him in the main part of the shop and pulled a gun on him. Sus. Well, yeah, sorry.
Well, we find ourselves at an interesting juncture. This changes matters considerably.
But honest, Governor, this time, Nash, this time, we ain't got nothing more to hide.
Very well, counsel for the defense. You may proceed with your cross-examination. Yes, my lord. This is it. The moment I've been waiting for.
Alright. Let's get him.
Alright, so we just got inside the garth.
Okay, blah blah blah, let's press.
When you say geezer, I presume you mean the victim and proprietor of the shop, Mr. Winterbank.
Who else? Sorry, I mean, that's right. We was keeping a close eye on the entrance to the garth, obviously. But we never thought no one was gonna come out of the back room like that.
The back room being the pawnbrokery's storeroom.
Yeah, that must be where he popped up from. Only place he could have been. So it would seem the victim was already in the storeroom when these brothers entered the premises.
Which means Jenny must have been in there at that point as well.
But that doesn't make sense, does it? If Gina had threatened Mr. Winterbank into the storeroom with her at gunpoint, then why would he have emerged from the same room all alone when the brothers arrived?
Did she, like, talk to him and he knew what was going on and he was like, okay, please just put the gun down, I'll help you, or something?
Oh, I don't know.
Did you see the accused at that time?
What? That mole tooler? Couldn't tell you. No way, Culber. We had bigger fish to fry then. I mean, the old geezer just lost it. Give me that gun, he bellowed, and then he flew at us like he was possessed. I thought we'd had it.
Find out, geezer, the block was strong. Oh, wait. I guess we should press this too.
Hold it!
You mentioned that Mr. Windibank shouted these words in your previous testimony, too. However, you claimed that you heard him yelling them on the other side of the storeroom door.
Oh, did we?
But the truth is, he was shouting those words at you, wasn't he?
Well, yeah.
Was the victim Mr. Windibank wielding a gun at the time?
Was he ever? Blimey, lummy, a great ugly barrel yard pointing straight at me frontispiece.
Frontispiece? Wow. So what you're saying is, you definitely saw Mr. Windibank with the gun at that time, is that right?
It is, Gov, it is. Spot on. Then all of a sudden he came at us, he did. It was bedlam. I didn't know who was going for who.
You were clearly all going for each other.
Like Nosh said, we thought we'd had it, I mean.
Okay, chucked him over the counter.
Yes, I noted that you mentioned the counter in your previous testimony, too.
Well, yeah, of course we did. He knocked over a load of books, a candlestick, and some skull whatnot. I got tangled in some marionette, what knocked over a picture frame, what knocked them scales on the floor.
So in fact, it wasn't the sound of the gunshot that shocked you and made you knock those things off the counter.
Well, Big Brovia went flying over that counter like a gunshot, I can tell you. Then the old geezer pinned him. He did, Nosh, he did. If you hadn't been there, the bloke would have flattened me like a bloomin' pancake in seconds. At the time in question, the alarm was raised at the local police station via a secret cable from the pawnbrokery.
Ah, okay.
There is a button under the counter used to activate it, which was presumably pressed by the victim.
Here's the thing. Now that I know this exists, if he really had been scared of Gina, he would have pressed the button then, right? Because you saw in that picture with him and Gina and her holding the gun at him, they were right there at the counter, but he didn't press it. He pressed it now after he saw the two brothers, so clearly him and Gina already, you know, they worked out their issue and he was probably helping her willingly. So there we go, not guilty. Come on, let's move on.
That's right. When the brothers fled the scene and back onto the street, they ran straight into the arriving police, didn't they?
Poor Mr. Windibank. He did everything he could to protect his shop.
Okay.
Hold it!
Were you intending to shoot Mr. Windibank?
No, never. I was just, you know, looking out for me bruv, weren't I? He was being flattened, don't forget.
By a man whose shop was being burgled, yes.
And then the man fled into the storeroom when you pointed your gun at him, is that it? Yeah, that's it. He shoved me away, then ran off through that door and shut himself in.
There's something about that last remark. Something that doesn't quite ring true.
I wonder why Mr. Windibank ran away into the storeroom.
What?
Well, according to what everyone's saying, Ginny was in there waiting for him with a gun.
Ah, yes, that's right. Gina allegedly used Mr. Windibank's gun to threaten him and force him to open the storeroom door. In which case, how did the gun end up in Mr. Windibank's hands again?
I have no idea, but that is strange, isn't it?
This little inconsistency could be significant. I should make a mental note of it.
Look, the point is, me and my bruv here. That's right, Nosh, that's right. Me and my bruv here.
Okay, you had nothing to do with killing him.
Hold it!
You say you had nothing to do with it.
Nothing at all. Nothing, Gov, nothing. The old geezer went and shot himself in the back room, didn't he? Locked it was from the inside. We knew it was because we tried to open it. But it's a decent door, that one. Good and strong. Wouldn't budge an inch. So in the end, the situation remains unchanged. Inside the storeroom with the pawnbroker, there was only one other person. The sole person who could possibly have shot the victim. The accused, Miss Gina Lestrade.
But he locked himself in there with her. Clearly he didn't feel like she was a threat.
It would indeed appear so. What say you to that, Counsel?
I don't know. Was there anyone else apart from Gina who could possibly have shot Mr. Windibank? Obviously, we're gonna say yes.
Mr. and Mr. Skulkin.
Huh? What? What's that look for?
From the moment you admitted that you had encountered the victim face to face that night, the course of this trial changed completely.
It did? What is your point, my learned friend?
The question we must answer is who could have shot Mr. Windibank? And it is the belief of the defense that the defendant is not the only possible answer at all.
I mean, this guy did say he took out his gun and pointed it at him, so...
You have my attention. In that case, let us return to this plan of the premises. The victim was killed in the storeroom, which was locked from the inside. Those are the facts, so pray, what other possible answer to the question of who shot the man could there be?
Counsel, you must now provide answers to the court in respect of two conundrums.
Uh-oh. Are we gonna be pointing the finger at the brothers? Because I still don't think they actually did it. But maybe for now we have to assume they did. I still think it's, you know, Benedict. I'm sus of him. So am I wrong what I said last time, thinking that he was, like, in the storeroom or, like, beneath the storeroom? I don't know.
Two, my lord? Twice as many chances to be right, maybe?
Indeed.
Oh, wrong voice.
Indeed, namely, from what location did the culprit shoot the victim? And furthermore, where was the victim at that time?
Uh-oh.
Understood, my lord.
Are you alright, Runo?
I'm not entirely sure. But there's one thing I am sure about. If I can prove that there's a credible new alternative to what happened, it would change Gina's prospects hugely.
So now, time for some clarity. Show the court on this plan the answers to the questions posed by his lordship. If you believe someone else could have killed the victim, indicate from where that person could have fired the gun.
I mean, so far, that's all I could think from outside the storeroom. Because we haven't mentioned the trapdoor yet, so maybe that'll happen later. I don't know. I didn't see it, but doesn't mean it wasn't there. So, alright.
Take that!
The defense believes that the culprit could have shot the victim from this location here.
And in answer to the second question, assuming the culprit fired from the location indicated, where was the victim at the time?
He would have been right here.
Take that!
Yep.
The culprit shot the victim from outside the storeroom.
Continue.
Mr. Winterbank died instantly from a bullet wound in his back. Looking at the stain of blood on the storeroom floor, it doesn't appear that the body was moved after death, which tells us that he was almost certainly shot while he was in the storeroom. However, the crucial point is, where was the shooter when the fatal bullet was fired? So you are adamant that the shot was fired from outside the storeroom? Well, according to the Skulkin brothers' earlier testimony...
Okay, I pulled a gun and then he led it through the door in the back room.
If Mr. Winterbank ran away through the door, we have to assume that the door was open at the time.
Oh!
It was at precisely that moment when the victim was fleeing for his life that these brothers had the perfect opportunity to shoot the man in the back once he was inside the storeroom.
No!
Okay, I knew this was where we're going, but I still don't think that's the truth.
Come to think of it, do you remember what the prosecutor said at the start of the trial?
Moving on to the findings of Scotland Yard's coroner. His report states that the bullet entered the body on a rising diagonal trajectory.
Is it because Ringo is shorter than him? Yeah, that's what they're gonna say. So they're gonna say it was Ringo, but I thought Nash said he had the gun. Shorter than himself.
Poor man. Shot while he was running as fast as he could to safety.
Oh, of course. He would have been leaning forward as he was running away. So even if the bullet was fired horizontally, it would still have entered his body on an upward trajectory.
Ah.
So the culprit isn't necessarily someone shorter than Mr. Winterbank.
Yeah, okay. Because when you run, you kind of lean forward. Yeah, that makes sense.
Objection!
I'm sure my learned friend can't have forgotten that the storeroom door was found closed and locked from the inside. You claim the victim was shot as he fled into the room. Do you also claim his corpse was dexterous enough to turn the key in the lock?
I mean, it's obvious then. There was another person alive in the storeroom. Clearly Gina, after hearing him get shot, would have freaked out and locked the door. That's common sense.
But... what if someone else locked the door? Yes, there is someone else who could have locked the storeroom door.
Is that so?
Very well then, counsel. Present your hypothesis to the court. In the scenario just described, the defense's assertion is that the victim was shot from outside the storeroom. In which case, who shot and locked the storeroom door from the inside?
Yeah, this is obvious. I'm just annoyed because Gina never spoke up and told us what happened, so...
Obviously, the person who locked the door was the only other person inside the storeroom at the time. The defendant, Miss Gina Lestrade.
Objection!
That's absurd. You're suggesting that the accused deliberately engineered the sealed room. For what possible reason? Such actions would only serve to tighten the noose around her neck.
Dude, in a life or death situation, of course she's gonna do what she can to protect herself from getting shot.
I am inclined to agree, I must say. Well, Counsel.
Y'all lack common sense.
Ah, yes, that's a tricky one, that, isn't it?
No, it's not.
Half-baked notions have no place in my courtroom, Counsel. Remember that, please.
But of course Ginny would have locked the door.
Thank you, Iris.
It almost goes without saying, doesn't it?
It does?
Well, if I was Ginny in that situation, I know I would have locked the door as quickly as I could. I mean, those two burglars had just fired a gun in her direction, hadn't they?
Oh, yes,
Obviously, yes, obviously. Man, all you men, you don't have the logic that the females have. I'm sorry. I'm gonna start a flame war. But seriously, what's wrong with these guys? Come on now.
Before the two brothers arrived, Miss Lestrade and Mr. Windibank were in the storeroom together. Now, I don't know what went on between them at that time, but at some point, Mr. Windibank must have heard the intruders breaking into his shop and left the storeroom.
Intruders, eh? That's us, bruv. If your theory is correct, that would leave the accused alone in the storeroom.
Yes, it would. Then, probably only moments later, the victim fled back through the storeroom door, hoping to escape danger.
Bang!
Hit in the back by the bullet, Mr. Windibank fell to the floor where he was, just inside the storeroom. And what we have to ask ourselves now is, what would the defendant have done in that moment?
I'll see where you're going with this.
Oh, wrong voice, sorry.
Outside the storeroom was a terrifying killer who had just murdered Mr. Windibank. As soon as that thought struck Miss Lestrade, she slammed the door shut and locked it. In order to save her own life.
Yes.
Hold it!
But we ain't the ones who done it. We ain't, Gov, we ain't. You gotta believe us. I mean, come on, we never shoot no one.
You shot Sherlock.
Objection!
That's blatantly untrue. I know for a fact that you would. Because before my own eyes, you shot Mr. Sherlock Holmes.
Yep.
There is only one logical conclusion here. Mr. and Mr. Skulkin, you brothers had every opportunity to have been the true perpetrators of Mr. Windibank's murder.
Yeah.
There they go.
Where does this leave us?
You mean to say it wasn't the pickpocket who shot the pawnbroker after all?
I should have known it was those three brothers. They look as shady as a dense forest.
That was amazing.
Oh, wow, what voice is that?
That was amazing, Reno. All the members of the jury seem to be firmly on your side now.
I know, first time ever, and probably the last.
Ma'am, I think you've done it. Surely they'll have to give a verdict of not...
Oh no, he's laughing.
An admirable effort, my learned friend.
What's this now? He's laughing? You find the situation amusing, Lord von Zeeks. I myself find the defense's argument most persuasive.
I dare say. Such... what? Chicanery is the bread and butter of the street performers in your provincial eastern nation.
What the heck is chicanery? Chicanery? Alright, let's look this up. What is chicanery? Chicanery. The use of trickery to achieve a political, financial, or legal purpose. Oh, it's like trickery. Interesting. Makes sense in the context.
But such blatantly malicious conjuring tricks amount to nothing more than inexcusable pettifoggery here.
What?
The hypothesis you put forward so ostensibly, credibly, cannot and will not stand. Because, you see, it contains a fatal flaw.
Oh boy. Alright, well we're gonna leave this episode right here, you guys. I'm looking forward to seeing what the fatal flaw is next time. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're enjoying this. And until next time, have a nice day. Bye-bye.